the legal saga surrounding the Return to Nature funeral home in Colorado continuing on. As now we're trying to determine, should this trial continue with just one party alone, or should it be a joint trial with Jon and Carrie Hallford together? That's what they're trying to figure out. The owners embroiled in this case, and the involuntary situation here involving nearly 200 improperly stored bodies could be now tied together. In a recent court appearance, family members affected by the disturbing discovery are demanding answers, while the district attorney's office anticipated the Hallfords' plea and provided updates on the ongoing identification process of the deceased, which has to be insane. You have to be dealing with like straight up DNA at this point, because you have bodies stacked on each other. And I'm not trying to be gruesome, but
it is gruesome.
They kind of meld together at some point when you're talking about flesh, and it's horrible. Amidst lingering questions and unsolved grief, the Hallfords court proceedings have garnered widespread attention, reflecting the gravity of the situation and the community's quest for justice. With Jon Hallford's recent release on bond and Carrie Hallford's continued custody, the legal proceedings are remaining at the forefront of the local news. In a poignant courtroom moment, family members demanded answers regarding the loved one's remains, seeking closure amidst the ongoing investigation. Heather DeWolf, who had entrusted Return to Nature funeral home with her son's final arrangements, expressed frustration at Jon Hallford's silence during the proceedings, emphasizing the need for transparency and accountability. She asked, "What did you do with my son?" I don't.
This is horrible.
I can't imagine being a parent of someone who is a victim of these people, because I don't think I would just be ending it with, "What did you do with my son?" or "What did you do with my daughter?" I would be the one jumping over the courtroom. I'd be on the TikTok video where it's like, "Crazy man attacks funeral homeowner in court," and it would be very viral because I'd probably strangle them very quickly and they'd be dead. Because it's just so enraging what these people thought was like okay to do for making a little more money or not. The whole thing is so bizarre.
Well, and think about this too. These families, they made their final arrangements for their loved one. They didn't, I'm assuming, didn't have a funeral, or maybe they did, thinking that they had the body and it was, quickcrete, concrete or kitty litter. And now the Band-Aid is completely ripped off again. Like, they've lost their loved one all over again. They went through the process. They tried to get some closure, and they've tried to move on with their lives. And now, well, wait a minute. That wasn't my son. That wasn't him in that urn.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Especially like a lot of times people get the remains and they go to a location and they spread the ashes out. And a lot of times it's not necessarily like you're just going down the road and doing that. You're going to a very special location. It's a very poignant moment in one's life. And then to find out that the remains that you spread were literally like quickcrete from Home Depot. It kind of ruins that moment a little bit. It's not quite as sentimental as you wanted it to be.
Well, and a lot of people do a ceremony. I mean, they do that with their pets. They'll have like they'll say something. They've got, they're crying. It's a whole thing, and people are invited to it at times. And now they're going to have to frickin' do it again. Come on.
District Attorney Michael Allen revealed that his office aims for a joint trial, emphasizing the need for a comprehensive legal approach to address the multitude of charges against the Hallfords while the legal process unfolds. The investigation into the identities of the remaining 22 bodies continues, underscoring the complexity of the case and the ongoing efforts to provide closure to the affected families. Meanwhile, the EPA has a scheduled demolition of the funeral home site, initially slated for January. It's faced delays due to logistical arrangements and inclement weather. So nobody wants to buy it and turn it into like a Starbucks or a winery or something? Like, hey.
Ew.
It's out in the desert. It's kind of by itself. It's like, hey, was this? Yes, it was. Have you tried the Chablis? It's delicious.
I'm getting notes of Mail? Am I getting notes of mail?
Getting notes of mail? What exactly would notes of mail taste like, Stacey?
Salty?
Like what exactly is that? What's that flavor that we're talking about here? Like, Old Spice, or like what is this? The rescheduled demolition set for the last week of February signifies a step towards closure and resolution in a case that has gripped their local community since its inception. Return to Nature Funeral Home, once a symbol of solace and reverence, was it ever really, though? Now stands, no. I mean, it seems like kind of like a slogan, solace and reverence at Return to Nature. Obviously, there's a lot of challenges and responsibilities associated with this sort of thing. Their arraignment of the Hallfords, March 21st, marks another milestone in the case defined by its complexity and its implications. So who knows? I mean, what I'm fearing here, like this seems like a very horrible case with a lot of really horrible people involved in it, but I don't know that it technically reaches the bar for really horrible punishment. And that's the scary part about this. And we have cases all the time where it's like people have been murdered and it's like 25 to life. So you have like 100 some bodies in your place, nearly 200. I'm going to guess 10 to 15 years on these people, quite honestly. And that doesn't seem nearly adequate, but it's shocking that we don't have stricter punishments on something like this.
And that's part of the issue with Colorado. They don't have things enforced that they're able to enforce.
It's kind of,
and the other thing is they didn't kill anybody. Yes, they, desecrated these poor bodies and traumatized these families, but these people were already dead.
Yeah.
So, whatever caused their death had already happened. It wasn't something they did. Yes, this is a really shitty situation.
It almost just seems
they didn't kill anyone.
Even seems more disrespectful. Even like I'd rather like you. It's a weird statement. Like I'd rather you kill the person than desecrate their body. It almost just seems worse in a certain way. The way that they've handled this with so many people, and it's all going to get lumped into one where it's like, well, it's consecutive sentences, or it's it's not consecutive. What's the one where it's everything's communed together? What word am I looking? Collect. There's a word for this, and
there is a word.
I'm missing it at this moment in time. But where everything is basically, you have 200 sentences, and it's like 10 years apiece, but we're going to serve them all simultaneously, rather than 200 times 10. I'd be more apt to like 200 times 10. Let's go with that one. Like you're not going to get out till 4,000.
But there are murderers who get 50 years. So, again, they didn't kill anybody. And I think what happened is it just got out of control. Now, there is a money laundering portion to this story that I think we had heard about. Mm-hmm. Basically, because they were taking people's money and not doing what they were supposed to do with it. But I don't think that these were evil criminals. What they did was bad. Absolutely. And horrifying and disrespectful, but I'm not sure it rises to the level of 200 years in prison.
Not evil criminals, or I don't know.
They're dumb, and they didn't ask for help. They didn't remedy a situation that was getting out of control. I mean, they at 4 or 5 bodies sitting there, they should have been. We need to figure this out.
You're literally walking because they have to keep stacking the bodies and you have to keep going in. So at one point you get like 2 or 3, like shit, like we got to get these done. We got to get this processed. You get to 5 or 10. It's like, oh God, this is not going good.
They're at the point of no return. I mean, at
20,
at 10
30,
bodies,
25, it's like shit, like this is really good. And you keep going and you get to 200.
Yeah.
At what point are we not like reaching evil levels here? I mean, it's just like I don't know. I mean, this is just one of the most gruesome stories I think we've had, and I don't know what other way to describe this. I mean, I don't know how you operate in this way and not be evil at some point, because it's just like I get like oh shit, this has gone downhill and it's COVID and things are weird and we don't have money and maybe we get a little backed up. We're going to get this done, though. This is, fuck, we got to get this done. But you get to 200 and you just keep taking in more. At what point is this not evil? Is this not just complete disregard for anything? And how do you get to that point of that utter disregard for people's feelings and emotions that are coming to you going, our loved one is dead. We like to, use your services. And you're not just saying, I'm sorry, we're booked, but they needed the money. And you have the money. So you're getting the money. Why are you not using the money to do what? So where's the money going? I guess that's the bigger question in this whole damn thing is you have 200 bodies. It's not like they just dropped them off and said, good luck. It's like people paid you to do things so you had funds to do things with these bodies. At the very least, get the fucking furnace from an old Sbarro and
oh God.
And do what you can with it. But you didn't. And you just you literally stacked them on Kmart shelves in your funeral home, quote unquote. From shelves that you bought from defunct department stores, which is, I'm not even exaggerating when I say defunct Kmart shelves. That's literally what we're talking about here is how these bodies were stacked.
Yeah.
And how do we not go to the level of what the fuck is wrong with you to be able to do that? I can't imagine at any point where it's, lobster in the water or frog in the boiling water. And like, it just slowly kind of gets this way. Like, this is just so dark. It just seems far beyond that.
No, it does. But I also don't know really what the difference is between 10 bodies stacked up and 200. Once you get to 10, you've already decided that you don't give a shit about those bodies.
True.
So what's another, 190 more? I mean, it sounds terrible, but at some point they turned off their feelings and went, I'm already this far in. What's another body?
I think that's a very good point. And by the way, Stacy is now operating a funeral home. If you'd like to use her services.
Want to listen ad-free? Want advance access to all of our interviews before anyone else?
Become a True Crime Today Premium Plus subscriber on Apple Podcasts.
You get every episode commercial free.
So you can binge on true crime
until you can binge no more.
Search True Crime Today Premium Plus on Apple Podcasts now, or go to our podcast page and sign up now.
More of the Hidden Killers podcast next.